Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Andy Daster here, president at North American, joined here by Jacquie Walters. Jacquie, thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
You know, so many great things going on around the company and around the business and the industry. I want to make this a little different than perhaps these types of events are. I was hoping to make this a little bit more of a discussion and for us to talk a little bit about what all you're doing, to share some of what you've been experiencing. Then I certainly would like to talk a little about marketing and see if we can't talk about some best practices there.
Okay, that sounds good.
I did want to just share with everybody, in case you guys weren't familiar, that we are introducing our new brand, North American Insurance Services, as an umbrella to our existing brands of North American Life Plans, North American Health Plans, and North American Advisors. And we're doing that because we're just getting bigger, and we want to make sure that our brand represents who we are and where we're going in the future. By the way, speaking of the future, one of the things that's also changing is we would like to have our content be more interactive, more engaging, more of a conversation like this, as opposed to Andy flipping through slides and everybody just sort of listening. So that's why we're making all these changes. And as you were just saying just before we got started, part of that is this is where things are going. People want to be able to absorb content in a variety of different ways. And I don't know that it's our job to make that decision as to which way they do it. So we're going to try to provide it in every conceivable way possible. All right. So for those of you who don't know Jacquie, boy, I tell you, she's one of my favorite success stories in this industry, in our company. She hasn't been in the industry long, but boy, has she ever made an impact on not only the things that she has brought refreshing ideas to the organization, but just as importantly, figured out how to make a great living selling insurance. Now, if you don't mind, I wanted to kind of start with that. Tell us a little bit about you, Jacquie, for those that don't know you. And one of the things, as you know, that I really like talking about with you is about work-life balance. How in the world have you made yourself so successful in this business and still juggle everything you got at home, which just is an unbelievable amount of stuff to juggle?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So I'm a mom of 5, and I got into this business about 4 years ago. I'd never done insurance before, but I was connected with North American right off the bat, which I think is a huge reason that I have been able to manage the work-life balance, because connecting with you guys just taught me a really valuable lesson from the very beginning, which was the more that I help a specific client get all the insurance protection that they need, the more that client is going to stay with me. I have retention, the more referrals that they're going to send to me, right? Because they're like, Jacquie helped me with so many things. And I didn't even know somebody like Jacquie existed until I started talking to her. A lot of people don't even realize that, you know, we don't charge for our services, but we're going to help save them time, save them money, find products that they didn't know about and didn't know that they needed until we talked to them. So my point is that the more that I help that client get a comprehensive insurance, you know, package or bundle of things, the better they are, right, in the long run. But also it helped me because I was able to make more income quickly. So my first year wasn't like the slow snowball of $15 here, $15 there on slim ACA commissions, right? I was making hundreds of dollars per client, thousands of dollars in some cases, because of the stacking of products and giving them really all of their needs met. So I think early adoption of stacking multiple products with one client to help fill their needs was huge. I guess working smarter, not harder, has enabled me to spend more time with my kids.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot of stuff in there. I want to ask you a couple follow-up questions, even though I promised I wouldn't. So first of all, I never heard you mention the word like your sales pitch. One of the things you always talk about, if you could share with everybody, that you don't really feel like you're selling. You may have used that word one time in the last 2 minutes, but you used the word helping at least 10 times in the last 2 minutes. Why do you call it helping and not selling?
Well, I really feel like I'm an advisor. So from the very beginning, I've just called myself a health insurance advisor because I'm here to help you pick the right product. But the reality is, everyone needs health insurance. So it's not like I'm trying to sell you something that you don't need, right? I'm just trying to advise you on the best strategy to get the health insurance that you have to have. Like I've gone without health insurance. So I've been like people out there that we're trying to reach. We went without it for years because it just wasn't in the budget. And I didn't know that all these alternative plans existed, or I didn't know that, I could get like a indemnity policy or something. And so what ended up happening was I put off getting care for myself and care for my family because I didn't have insurance. And I don't want anybody to be in that position. So I just really try to advise people that there are other ways to get you coverage. You don't have to go without. It's not all or nothing.
You also mentioned, thanks for sharing that, and I love that because I really believe that's our organizational philosophy. We want to help people, and I've said to everybody who will listen, if you can help a lot of people, you'll make a great living. Don't worry about how much of the commission is. Just help a lot of people, and the money will be there, I promise. The other thing, though, that you mentioned in there is about stacking and how crucial stacking health plans together has been, not only in terms of providing your client with a solution, but also helping you make a great living. Like, when was the light bulb? Like, when did that light bulb go off and say, oh, that selling ACA and making $50 is not anywhere near as effective for my client or for my wallet as stacking health plans?
Right. That was from the very beginning because of all the awesome training that you guys provided when I first was, getting involved and just learning about the different products, that I could go and run an ACA quote for someone. Let's say it was a family of 4 and it was $1,200 a month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how are people paying that? Right.
Right.
Or I could run a Philadelphia American, Health Saver Plus and add in a $50,000 critical illness policy, plus an accidental injury policy, plus dental for like $800 for the family. And I felt good. Like I slept good at night knowing that they had the critical illness, they had the accident protection, they had the hospital indemnity and dental, and they were saving $400 a month. And
Wow.
they slept great too. So it was just a win.
Absolutely. Love it. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to share with everybody how in the heck you balance those 5 kids who are all at home right now, right?
They are, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So many agents will say, well, I can't be successful because I have this or I have that. You got 5 kids, all of which are at home.
Right.
And you're working from home, clearly. So can you share with everybody a little bit about your structure? I mean, I can't imagine you are trying to juggle both at the same time. There must be some kind of a strategy or a plan or a schedule. Can you share that?
Yes, we do have a schedule. So I think I've mentioned this before, but it's called counterbalancing. Because, let's be realistic, balance is very hard to achieve.
Yeah.
But counterbalancing, where you just really focus on the one thing that's important in that time slot and you just give it your best, right? And then you switch gears and you focus on the next thing. So we've just created a schedule in our day where, morning time is my time with the kids. We do homeschooling. We're doing, stuff that's investing in them because that's our future, right? That's my legacy. Yes. So I want to make sure that they get a good education, that they get my love and attention. And then at 12 o'clock, the focus switches and I do work for 5 hours. And my kids know, unfortunately, like mom's busy, sorry, I'm on a phone call or working, but it works for us because they get the attention they need and I get 5 hours a day to invest in my business.
Wow. Sorry, it's such a wonderful story. I love the fact that our organization creates an environment where people can have it all. They can have a work-life balance. And, so often I see other organizations talking about, you can make $1 million a year if you do this or you follow our platform. And I don't know that we've ever said that in this organization. I much rather hear people say that I can make a great living and I can have a great family life, a personal life, do the things that I want to do with my life, whether it's 5 kids, God bless you, that's not what I want to do with I'm about to be an empty nester, but it could be anything. It's whatever your life, it's important to you. And I've always thought that's one of the greatest things about this business that nobody talks about, is the fact that you can have a flexible schedule. You can do things that you want to do. You can accomplish everything you want personally and professionally. You get to work out of the comfort of your own home. I can see it behind you.
Yeah.
You can sell over the phone. I mean, everything that people say they want in a career, and we already have that. And the pandemic only further reinforced some of these basic practices that we don't have to sit there and knock on doors like our fathers and grandfathers might have done back in the insurance business. So let me ask you this question, because I think this is something that a lot of people on this call were wanting to hear about, is let's talk about marketing a little bit, because marketing has definitely, prospecting has changed. Again, our fathers and grandfathers, I would say grandmothers, but they weren't in this business. You know, they're old-fashioned, knocking on doors and going through neighborhoods trying to solicit for insurance prospects. Well, those days are over. So now we have to be able to market without maybe even seeing anybody face-to-face, or if we do, it might be limited. What are some best practices on where you could advise agents to find clients and prospects, and how can they do it in a consistent way?
Right, that's a really good question. So thankfully with North American, because I was able to get my production up pretty quickly with the stacking, actually benefited greatly from the marketing allowance that you guys have. So I was able to use the funds from the marketing allowance to do to outsource, because let's face it, I don't have time to do everything myself. So I'm outsourcing social media, outsourcing a bi-monthly newsletter that keeps me top of mind with my clients, so they get it and then they remember, oh, I have a friend who was talking about this. Let me refer them to you. Or they see my newsletter and think, oh, I didn't realize that you helped with long-term care. Let me reach out and see. So outsourcing those kinds of things. You can buy leads from, companies that, go out and generate massive amounts of leads. Or you can spend money creating your own Facebook ads, Instagram ads. I think it would be really fun to start a YouTube channel and a podcast as well, because people love free content, right? They love it. And the more that they see that you're the expert in this topic and they get that repeat exposure to you, they're going to call you. And how much more fun is it to work with somebody who called you than to be, calling and knocking on doors, like you said, and just like, I don't want to be the agent that's like calling someone 13 times a day just to get them on the phone. Yeah. I want them calling me. So that's how I view my future.
I love it. And just to be clear to the audience, this is where our organization is really wanting to go. We want our agents, first of all, to outsource some of these marketing activities, because you can't do everything, and you can't give up the helping client part, because that's the job. But the marketing and prospecting, you absolutely can. There's lots of great ways to do that. And of course, give us a call if you're not sure what are some of the vendors that can do this kind of thing. But they'll do everything from sell you leads, which works in the short term, but really at the end of the day, what I would just call outsourcing and having your own marketing department is really where things are headed. I was just talking to one of our top producers yesterday, and he was saying that he had finally done what you're describing. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was doing that all on my own. It's so much less expensive than I thought it was going to be. And boy, the amount of time that it saves me, I don't have to do all the day-to-day work. And yes, to your point, and he's using his marketing allowance to pay the cost. So even that gets offset. Yeah, that's really where things are going. I think that agents that are still trying, I was looking out on a social media post a couple days ago, I think I mentioned this to you, where an agent posted something about, due to the pandemic, is it safe to go back and door knock?
No.
And my answer is, that's the wrong question. That's yesterday. You got to look forward. You can't keep looking back as to what your parents and grandparents might have done in this business. What you're describing is not only where we are today, but it is unquestionably where the future is. And I highly recommend that agents listen to what you've said and follow in those same footsteps, you've made it work. And so many agents are looking to try to figure out what you figured out, Jackie. So that's all great stuff. We've gone a little right about on time, I guess, with what I was hoping, about 15 minutes. Anything you'd like to share with the audience in closing?
I mean, just there isn't, necessarily a secret formula or a magic thing that I'm doing that's different than what you could do. Like anybody can do what I'm doing. It's just, putting yourself out there, networking, helping people as much as you can get as, many products is going to keep them protected, and then just enjoy life. That's it. Those are the tricks.
Great words. Jackie, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for sharing. That was a wonderful story. And we'll do this again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.